But she wasn't on the national time.
So you would rather she sat there feeding a toy virtual food until it shits itself?
Katie, turn it down. I already did turn it down. What was Gemma thinking?
Who's the news my niece's birthday? I'm gonna get her a present.
She works for the company that makes them. She probably doesn't even have to pay for shipping. Honestly, what is the purpose of a toy if you have to play with it?
This is what the future looks like. Okay? I have to get used to it.
Oh my god!
Alright, we're alright. Neither of us knew that was a thing until like 10 minutes ago. Jake, don't act like it's my fault.
Seriously!
What do you want me to do?
I dropped Leroy.
Why did you tell that guy at the gate that this was a four-wheel drive?
Because I thought it was. It looks like a four-wheel drive.
We have to get back to that.
What are you doing? Katie, put your seatbelt on! So stop moving forward.
We walked over to the Senate building.
You can't just sit
We
in the
were
middle
able
of
to
the
get
road.
into the Senate building. We went and stood in the middle of the atrium.
Wait for this
in
to
the
clear
center of
and
the
then find
building,
some
and we
place where we
actually
can
lifted
pull
our
over and
voices,
just
let our
wait
voices
for
be
one of those snow trucks to clear the road.
Yeah, how
We
long
got
is
to
that
be
going
willing
to
to
take?
disobedience. We got to be willing to get arrested and to do so in a way where they can't stop each wave, just like the children's movement, that there'll always be another wave coming behind it. It shouldn't be this doggone hard just to get some doggone vote rights. It shouldn't be this hard to get something that the 15th Amendment said we were supposed to have in 1870. We shouldn't have to take to the street and be arrested and do civil disobedience. But doggone, if that's what it's going to take, then we're going to answer the call.
I was taught to be a strategist. I was taught to be a political scientist. I was taught how to organize and register people to vote. And so it's my job to teach as well. Put the hands up and stop. Lock arms. It's the same discontent that our people felt in the 60s. This is not a new movement. This is a continuation of the movement.
Why are we doing this? Because we have to. If we could at least show him what we have. No, we didn't. You said so yourself. She's ready. Hey. Is that what I think it is?
To use that power, I'd rather just sit in the corner and complain about it. That day may come, but guess what? Today is not that day. There may come a day when we turn our back on the history that was made right here in this sacred space by so many people that
Spencer looks good. Yeah, well, I'm sure we paid for it better.
Okay, here we go. Happy.
Who believes in freedom?
Okay.
Sad.
You believe that you got a role to play.
Confused.
Wait, stop. Why is her face doing that? What is happening?
I don't know, Gemma. It's your code.
Yeah, thanks. I know it's my code, Cole, but she doesn't look confused. She looks demented.
What do you want me to do? You want me to
As
take
y'all
the
can
skin
see,
back
I
off?
don't
She's
need
not
the
responding.
fucking news.
Okay, here we go. Oh
If
shit.
there's anything I
So,
want to see,
Just be careful. Hey, don't tear it.
no, I'm not gonna.
figurines.
Shit.
Which can also
Okay,
be
so what do we do? I guess we gotta open the door.
the fully electric Keurig e-tron.
Jen.
Everything is all
What
based on
in the name of
whatever the
ever-loving
hell I
Christ
can
is
imagine.
this?
David, if you just give me a minute to explain.
Is this why you move your lab down here, Gemma? So you can keep secrets from me?
We talked about this, David.
Yeah, we talked about you putting it on ice until you had a new pet model. How much did you spend on this?
Wait, can we afford
Are
a
you
safari?
even
Great
aware
question.
of the
Like
shit
everything,
tsunami
takes a
that just
little
swept in
planning.
over this
Or
Thursday
put
spot?
the money towards the down
Sorry,
payment.
what?
On a ranch
In Montana.
with horses.
Let's take a look at those scenarios.
JP Morgan Wealth Management has advisors and chase branches and tools like WealthPlan to help keep you on track. When you're planning for it all, the answer is JP Morgan Wealth Management.
I'm sorry, are we supposed to be worried about that? It's a ripoff.
You're right, Gemma.
Stop typing,
It is a
start
ripoff.
talking. It
They
could
do
be
the
a medical
exact same
condition
thing
called
we do.
Peyronie's
You
disease
know what
or
else?
PD. You're
They
not
do it
alone.
for half the price.
Specialized
I
urologist
told
can
you
diagnose
we
and
needed to
treat
go
PD.
simple.
Visit
Didn't I tell her
wikipediaplan.com
6
today.
months ago?
Traveling
I
with young
begged you.
kids can be
I
really
begged you
hard.
to
My
please Give me an option. I could put on a shelf for $50.
And we are working on it, I promise. But David, the only way to stay ahead of the competition is to come up with toys that are 2 minutes to replicate. I know the tech on pets seems more complex than it needs to be, but that's only because I was using it as a launch pad for something bigger. In each pet, we installed a listening model that targets conversational patterns among kids.
Did you not just tell me that?
I know she doesn't look like much now, but I promise, if you just let us show you what Megan is capable of, you will realize that this is what we've been working towards.
Megan?
Model 3 generative android. Megan.
The only 3-in-1 extended
Tess, load up the intro
formula for
simulation.
dry eyes.
Now. Yeah. Megan, say hi to David.
As in the boss, David? Well, I guess I should call you Dad. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my waffle. I was born in a sandwich hat, and I worked many cabbages.
This isn't supposed to happen, obviously. Just give me one moment. Sorry about the noise.
Jim?
1 second, Cole. It's probably just a race condition. It'll literally take me a minute to fix.
Jim, it's not a race condition. I might have forgotten to put in the polypropylene barrier.
Oh no.
God.
Tess, turn it off.
Try risk-free. 3 returns on all orders. It's lunchtime, and Gary is double booked.
I want the Pez prototype on my desk by Friday.
To take notes and
And I want
generate a
you
summary. So
to take
Gary
this
doesn't miss a meeting
sidewalk puppet
and
show,
regain his lunch break.
put it
Try
in a
now
dark
for
closet
free.
where it
Visit
belongs.
honor.ai or download the app.
It looks like we're headed for another runoff this year, as neither Democratic
I want
Senator
swipe card
Raphael
for the
Warnock and
store.
Republican challenger Herschel Walker have hit the 50% threshold to win outright. The
What
reality
is
is that
first?
Georgia's had a runoff that has
I
always
thought she
been
looked
racist.
really cool.
This version of the runoffs goes back to 1964, where it was an avowed segregationist candidate who was mad because he lost an election to a black candidate. And so they literally created this situation so that if you had black folks getting plurality, that wouldn't be enough, that we'd have to go into a runoff, which would then allow the white candidates or white voters to be able to galvanize their support.
And so when Raphael Warnock gets elected to the United States Senate, he then has to win a runoff election, so he has to win a second election, which costs the state a lot of money, and it seems really inefficient. He has to do it again, then he wins again, then when he runs for re-election, he gets in
This
yet
is to
another
grant temporary
runoff.
protective custody
And because he
because
gets
son
just
is
under
being
50% against Herschel Walker, and then has to do yet another runoff. It was designed
No,
to
I don't know your
ensure
sister.
that black voters would not be able to elect on a statewide basis the candidate that resonated most with them. Denmark Groover, he in fact in a deposition said, was I a segregationist and a racist? Yeah. Did this policy that I put forth have racist intent? Yeah. So part of what we have to really look at with the runoff for the U.S. Senate between Herschel Walker and Senator Raphael Warnock is that Walker was tapped by Donald Trump.
I am concerned about the candidates that Republicans have put forth. In fact, when you look at the Carrie Lake of Arizona, the Herschel Walkers of Georgia, and then the Doug Mastrianos of Pennsylvania, then those are the people we should be most afraid of.
Incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock has defeated Trump-picked Republican challenger Herschel Walker in Georgia's runoff election.
There are many Republicans across the country who
Celia! Could you please keep your dog on your side of the fence? I just spent $80 on the show. It's like cranking it up a notch. Who's this little lady? That is my niece, Katie. She's in for the weekend. You know what? It's been a really long drive, and I would just really appreciate it if you did not have your dog running onto my yard all the time, and also don't spray your chemicals onto my driveway. Shit, I'm sorry. Want to borrow this once I'm done? No, I don't want to borrow it. I don't want to spend my afternoon getting your sediment off of my driveway. Just hang a tarp or something.
At the core of Republican strategy to hold on to power. Gerrymandering is the practice of
Welcome home, Gemma. You have 6 unanswered voice messages and 5 tender notifications.
Elsie, turn off.
Create a specific election outcome. You're trying
Sorry
to
about that.
put the voters that you want into
Okay, I'm gonna put these bags away
Texas
and just
creating new districts, redrawing its legislative work, just like every state has to. And because Texas had some population growth, it was one of the few states that got some new congressional seats. And almost all of that population growth, 90% of it.
Oh, those aren't
came
toys.
from Black and Latino families.
I mean, yeah,
And they
technically,
drew
yeah, they're
districts
toys. They're just
to account for
collectibles,
that
so you don't
population
actually play with
growth.
them.
Almost the entire
probably sounds
South
really
at this point are states where all three branches of government are controlled by one
I'm trying to
party,
think if
and
I
this
have
state happens to be the
anything.
Republican Party.
Oh, what
When
happened
you
to the
have
perpetual pet I got you
hyper-gerrymandered
for your
state
birthday?
legislatures that are not responsive
okay.
to voters
I was
because
just
they
looking.
have drawn the legislative boundaries in such a way that they're basically immune to voters. That
I know, it
case
doesn't
has so
look
much
like
to
much
do
right now,
with
but,
whether we're going to be a viable democracy
We will
or
make
not.
it feel cozy
If
somehow, I promise.
democracy is really a form of governance that we want to be in place, right? And if that's to be so, then people are going to have to make that be so. And I think that if we're looking at all of these systems, from the electoral system to the economic system to
Look.
all of those different systems, if they are to change, it won't because they changed on DC.
I know
It
this
will
must be
because
a
we
lot
literally
for you
created
to
the
take
change,
in
and
right
the
now.
change has to start from the
I just
ground.
want you to know that I'm gonna do
research and
everything I
data
can to make
shows
this place feel
us
like home.
that
And
most Americans
if you need anything,
didn't vote Republican
I'm just
or
gonna be down the
Democrat.
hall.
Most Americans don't vote at all. There are a lot of
Okay.
people who
Really
are falling
close.
away from both parties. The independents
You're not
are
gonna read
growing
me a
and growing
story?
and growing.
What's
And
that?
you can almost create a profile of them.
Mom always read
Majority
me a
of
story
Americans,
before bed.
yes, they have to choose one or the other.
Oh,
And a lot of them are saying neither one of them
I
truly
don't think I
represent
really
what
have
we
any
want.
kids books here right
Independents are
now,
the
Katie.
largest unbranded
But that's okay.
political
I can
party that
download
we
one
have
on
in
my
our
phone.
country. We have been forced
That's
into a
fine.
construct. You either have to be A
It's just
or B.
Oh.
That's it. That's not choice.
Just
Okay?
to update
That's
the
not
app.
real option. Why do we have a two-party system? Now, some people may not like me saying this, but it's the truth. It's not to make it easier for you or me. It's to make it easier for the corporations to purchase both sides of the political coin. There are industrialized nations that have over 80 political parties. You know how complex that is for a corporation?
Why is there only two parties? Why couldn't we have a Labor Party? Why can't we have a Workers' Party, right? Why can't we have parties that represent different interests, that when you have these multiple parties, you could have coalition parties? It would actually work better for all of us because it would force people to come together and work collectively on an agenda that would serve more folks, right? Instead of just having these two opposite ends. Like, we're going to have to think very, very differently. When I talk to Republicans who I know who are disenchanted with their party, what they say essentially is that one of our
I'm
two
not
parties
equipped to handle
is
this.
dying
I don't even
and
think
is
I know
probably
my own
going
plans.
to fail.
And
And
your
that is the
friends'
Republicans,
parents?
as they're currently constructed, they can't continue. Because you can do voter suppression,
Just
kind
trying to
of
figure out a way
that
to
way.
do this without
Hello,
getting fired.
Georgia.
It's
And
gonna
so I
be
think
flood.
what might happen is that party might collapse and something more like a normal political party will have to emerge. I think one of the biggest shifts that we're going to see in the next decade that I predict in America is that there's going to be a demand for pluralism. We've got these systems in place that do not support pluralism.